life is really, really good. And I'm really, really overall just happy. I'm having anxiety for no reason, you know? Like, I get anxiety all of a sudden for no reason, and then I find out some bullshit is usually going on. Or was going on when I had anxiety, because my intuition is incredible. But I'm reminding myself, I have drive off. I'm reminding myself how awesome life is, and like how grateful I am that, you know, maybe I'm not like financially where I would want to be or whatever. I'm not rich. I can't just like at the drop of a hat do whatever I want. Everything costs money these days. And so, like, I just realized that I'm very happy, and I am, what's the word? Not complacent. What is the C word I'm trying to think of? Contentment. I am content, okay? And that's all I could ever want to be. Like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm having these like thoughts, because, you know, like I was kind of twisted about bumping into Craig yesterday, and then I bumped into him twice at two completely different locations yesterday. Look, it's crazy because I think that the universe was preparing me to bump into him and see him with the lady and the baby, because I think God was preparing me for that, because I had no idea he even had a child. And I saw him in the morning at the gas station and, you know, said hi real quick. And then I saw him later in the evening with his baby and with his girl. And it was just like, holy cow. But I wasn't being nosy. I wasn't looking or staring or anything like that. So I didn't even get a good look at her or anything. So anyways, because that happened, I've been like, you know, I don't know, maybe having anxiety or something like that. I don't know. But I've been struggling a little bit for the last 24 hours, and not in a way that is like, not in a way that's like self-destructive or anything like that. But I just started thinking like, well, maybe, you know, the last time that he and I had a conversation, did I make a mistake? Like, did I make a mistake with the choices that I've made with him? And I'm realizing, no, I did not make a mistake. I made the right choice, because listen, the benefits, the positives to a relationship are great and all, but at the end of the day, like, they come with a lot of chaos. And entangling your entire life with another person is like seriously huge. People take it for granted and like, you know, come in and out of each other's lives, like, but it's very serious to go into someone's life like that and like immerse yourself and to have, you know, so it comes with a lot of stuff, a lot of sacrifices, a lot of chaos, a lot of hard decisions, a lot of, you know, a lot of compromises. And I'm just realizing that, like, honestly, at the end of the fucking day, I am so proud of myself, because I made the right choice. I made the hard choice, but it was the right choice. I made the choice. I didn't make the choice that felt good in the moment. I did something that felt terrible. It felt terrible to break up with him and to split up and to not be in with him anymore. It was like one of the hardest things. It was like, you know, the only other time I've ever experienced that type of hardship leaving a relationship was when I left my husband. But I did what I had to do because it was what was right. Be right back. So anyway, I'm like real time processing this stuff. Like, you're watching it happen live, this processing of information. Like, I am actually so proud of myself for doing that, for doing what was hard and what was not the best. Because honestly, like, think of the things that he would have suffered. There's the weed eater. Oh, maybe I'll weed Anyways, life is hard and choices are not always easy, and you have to do what is right for either you or your child. Like, at the end of the day, that's what you have to do. You cannot do things because it feels good or because feelings should come into play. Feelings should definitely come into play because, like, let me just be fucking frank with you. My intuition is like my guide to living. So I would be, I don't think I have enough drinks today. I would be silly to say, oh, there's the Bondo. I would be silly to say that I don't utilize my feelings when I make decisions and stuff. But that being said, I don't let my feelings make the decision for me. You know what I mean? Like, I implement my feelings into this decision-making process. I don't just like feel a certain way and then do something. And it sucks because, like, it's not easy. It's not like the easiest way to go about things. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now, Stephanie, is I'm literally just trying to process. Well, there goes that. I'll be back for you in a second. Oh, man. That did y'all dirty, huh? Wow. But anyway, so yeah, I'm like, I haven't had I really don't like dwell on things unless they're serious, like life-threatening type stuff. I don't dwell on things and like lose sleep over things. So it's not like I'm like losing sleep, but when I'm in my car, whoopsies, I almost tripped on my unlaced shoes. When I'm in my car driving and I'm, I like am pretty much stony baloney all the time. Like, so, I have like profound thoughts, I guess what you would consider shower thoughts, right? And I'm realizing, like, on my way to work today, like, all these things, like, I really did make the best choice possible. And, like, as much as it might hurt to see him, like, moved on in, like, a whole other relationship or whatever, I love this man, okay? Like, I love him. Like, I love my ex-husband. Like, I love my son. I love them. Like, he's my family at the end of the day. So I want him to be happy. If he's not happy in that relationship, then, like, I will try to give him advice to try to make his relationship better. I'm not gonna like wish for their downfall or anything like that. And I will not ever, ever, ever come between somebody and their partner. That's never happening. So there's literally no chance in a snowball's chance in hell that I would engage with any type of chattery with him while he is, literally shacked up with a fucking baby, bro. So, but I want him to be happy, at the end of the day. So my choices are going to be based on what he tells me is going to make him happy. That's what I will acknowledge. But at the end of the day, I'm not even going to hang out with the guy. But yeah, I'm really proud of myself because I 100% know that I made the right choice and I did what was absolutely best for me and my child. And I have no regrets. No regrets. I almost didn't come to work today. I was like this close to not coming today. And then I was like, you know what? What the hell? I'll go to work. And then I was like at the gas station and I saw meatballs. And my client that lives around the corner, we've been trying to find these they haven't had the meatballs at the gas station for a while. And so I've been keeping an eye out and been wanting them. So anyway, I found them this morning and so I called her and I was like, hey, I just found the meatballs. Do you want me to come and drop them off to you? Or I'm going to come drop them off to you. Are you home? And she was like, oh my God, yay. And so I went over there now, and she is having lunch guests and dinner guests today. But the lunch guests wanted to come at 12:45, which makes it, she's a little older. So like, she's slower. She's just a slow moving, easygoing person. So like, she has dinner guests that are coming at around 5. So that doesn't give her very much time to like, reset her house and like prepare food for dinner. And so she's feeling stressed out. So I was like, well, why don't you just call me when you're done with lunch, and I will come over and I will reset your kitchen for you while you, change your clothes, take a shower, whatever you need to do, relax. And you can give me a couple bucks for it if you want to. And she was like, oh, Heather, is that really, you would do that for me? And I was like, yeah, what do you mean? I mean, I'd do it for free, but, she's very insistent on paying. So that's the only reason why I said that, is because she actually gets offended if you don't advocate for yourself. So she's a really good, really amazing person to have as an influence in my life. She's showing me a lot of things that I was unaware of, like how people with a lot of money could actually just be really, truly salt of the earth type people. Even my other job, this house, all my jobs, all my bosses, okay, all 3 of my bosses have made me realize that money does not necessarily corrupt everybody. It does, in fact, allow some people the opportunity to do the things in the world that they want to do. And that is, it has changed my perspective on wealth. It has changed my perspective on what I think what represents a wealthy person in my mind. Like if I just say rich person, like first thing that flashes in your mind doesn't flash in my mind anymore. It's not like a fancy car or like tennis clothing and jewelry and fancy hair and makeup and fillers. When I see that person anymore in my mind, when you just that snap nondescript, person that you visualize, now what I see is somebody in like nice Carhartt clothes that are in their garden, with their like hat to block out the sun, with, like a plaid shirt and a vest. That's what I see in my mind now. And it's really awesome because how can I strive to be a wealthy person if in fact I look down upon them? You know what I'm saying? If I think that rich people, while they have all the money in the world to do whatever they want, they do not in fact have the one most important thing, which is falling on your ass. Because falling on your ass is the only way that you are actually going to learn what you like, what you don't like, where you want to go, where you don't want to go, who you want to be with, who you don't want to be with. It's literally fucking up, falling on your ass and having to pick yourself back up again. And there's a lot to be said for being like poor. I'm so grateful to have been raised, like my family, I have the perspective. So I come from a very wealthy family, but my mom was not wealthy. So, and my mom is who raised me. So that's what my raising was. She was a single mom and, whatever. So anyway, so I have a perspective of what wealth with servants and all that shit is like, but I don't have the actual firsthand experience of it because I never lived that life. We lived like barefoot and riding our bikes in the neighborhood. So I've realized though that I am grateful that I didn't have the opportunity to get plastic surgery. I'm great that I didn't have the opportunity to do things with using money that I would now today not even agree with, let alone support, let alone have had to go through and like be the person who perpetuated it or, did the thing. Like I'm so grateful that I was forced to keep my hands clean in so many ways. Like I didn't get a boob job. Every single girl in my hometown that had money got a boob job. Every single one. But I'm like from like a wealthy county in Florida. I just happen to live in the poor part of the town. But anyway, so it's so wild to see like those women today and how they're having, they're getting their implants taken out, they're having all this issues, their face, they look so much older than than I do. And I just literally I just couldn't afford any of that crap. So I didn't do it. So grateful that I was from, I was forced to not have money. And I think, I've said this before, that I really think that my son is not supposed to be that type of person who never has to fall on their ass and pick themselves up again. I think that's a big reason why Josh and I, no matter like what happened, like what we seem to do, no matter what, I have a video with 16 million views on it on TikTok. Could I translate that into a successful money-making business opportunity? No, of course not. Because like, that's just, I don't know how. I'm not, it's just not my path at that time. Maybe it's my path in the future, but it's not it was not my time at that time. Elliot, I think, is supposed to be raised in a situation where he is not capable of having a lot of the things that his peers have, so that way he can appreciate shit when he is older, like I do today. And how grateful I am for like every little thing that I am able to spoil myself with, you know what I mean? So well, yeah, that at the end of the day, how funny is that? And I honestly, sometimes I wish that I had never started getting tattoos, but then I'm like, I honestly forget that I have them 99.999% of the day. Like, I do not even acknowledge that, like, when I'm walking around in public, I don't think about them at any point. I just am a person just doing person things, you know what I mean? So I don't ever think about that kind of stuff. I forget that people see me like with tattoos, and like there's a snap judgment that happens in their mind based on what their experiences are with people with tattoos on their face and neck or whatever. And so I forget sometimes that I'm always kind of working an uphill battle with people regardless. And like if they have the internet, it's even worse, because the psychos on the internet who have no life, still to this day, if I follow someone on TikTok, they immediately follow that person. It's bizarre. But I mean, as I'm seeing, I was just one of the first ones to experience it this hard. That was a small creator. But it's like, now if you are a content creator on social media, you definitely have a snark page. And definitely there is a Reddit where people are like plotting your demise. Like that's the cesspool. And it's so funny because I have seen videos from like seemingly very far left-wing commentary people who are literally talking about how Reddit is a cesspool. So it just goes to show that absolutely everybody knows that if you are like, especially if you're a mod on one of those pages, or you like run one, like it's very sad. These are the like lowest on the totem pole. You know what I mean? I should probably get to work. Man, these doors look so fucking good, you guys. Look at that. Let me turn my brightness up. Hold on. There we go. I can see it better. Look at that. These ones already had a coat or two on them that I just had to like redo. These are the ones I painted from the bottom up. Look at that shine. Look at that. Oh yeah, baby. Oh, it's like going blurry. Look at that. Beautiful bean footage. Oh, it's in all of the cracks. But you see how it's not like gooped up in the edges? It's because I'm anal retentive and I do very thin coats. I don't let it get gooped up. I don't like that when you see something that's painted and it has like a glob of paint on it. When you paint something, you're supposed to make it look like it was built like that. Or as close to it as you can get, you know? All right, let me get my, I can charge you from over here. I'm gonna start on this side. Okay. This is the one where the brush started to piss me off. I'm starting to pick up paint. I think that I need to do one more coat on this one. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm feeling like maybe I won't. It doesn't look like there's that many spots. I could just touch up this spot right here and this spot right here. And I'm pretty sure that that's all she wrote on that one. Okay. Let's flip. I need to flip the door. Oh. Yep, I just like can't believe that, I don't know, it's just I don't have control over my female feelings. I also I think I might be getting my period soon. My my boobs are sore and also my ovaries are hurting. So I think I might be like probably getting close or right at PMSing. And if that's the case, then that explains a lot of my feelings with the whole Craig situation. But like, ooh-wee, I am so glad that I don't have the opportunity to like talk to him through text message or phone or anything like that. All right, flipping. How did you get here, buddy? He's rolling. Oh my God, poor guy. There we go. It's a roly-poly. It was upside down on the door. Put him on a dandelion. Oh my God, there was a huge fucking horsefly in here. Holy shit. Oh my God. Sorry, buddy, but there's literally no way in hell you're fucking biting me, bro. You've been in here all night without any food? Nope, not happening. I'll pass on that experience. That worked. Okay. Wait, no. I'm flipping doors. I'm flipping doors. These need another coat. For sure. This one can be flipped. Whoa. A lot heavier than I thought. All right, so let's get the paint prep. Look good? Oh, I gotta go pee. I'll be right back. I gotta go pee. See if I can get this done while I pee. Where the fuck are my headphones? Oh, good.
now the judge has moved it to where the feds are going to go today, and actually we do have a whole other closing argument tomorrow. So originally tomorrow it was just going to be the judge reading jury instructions, and the jury could maybe start deliberating. But it seems like now what's going to happen is today we're obviously getting a little bit later start than usual. Usually it's at 9 o'clock. That's usually when the court starts. Now this morning it's 10, so it's going to go for about 2 hours, they said. They're going to have a lunch break, and then it's going to start back up. After the lunch break, you go for about 2 more hours. Now this is if the prosecutor who's delivering the closing arguments. If I say closing statements, that's just because it's called opening statements, and sometimes I just do this like equivalence thing in my mind, but it's a closing arguments is the technical, specifically, what's going on here. If I say closing statement, it's the same thing, but it's supposed to be called closing argument. So tomorrow, we're going to have Diddy's side do theirs. So if the prosecutor stays on time, and she doesn't run long, it should last about 4 hours, and that is about how long Mark Niccolo on Diddy's side said that these closing arguments on their side are going to also take. So those will start tomorrow. So the jury may not end up deliberating tomorrow. Actually, Maureen Coney had said, the feds had said, the prosecutor had said yesterday, the lead one of the case, that she doesn't anticipate the jury to start their deliberations until Monday. Now, this is kind of strange because it's going to be extremely complicated jury instructions. I mean, for example, the government's side that they submitted to be the jury instructions was 100 pages long. So imagine the judge sitting up there reading 100 pages of complicated stuff. Like, who's going to even remember that? This is the jurors. Even if you're a lawyer, even if you're a judge, even if you're anybody, and then they have a whole weekend, then they come back on Monday, then they have 3 days to deliberate, and there's a whole 4th of July holiday. I mean, I think they're going to need to be refreshed on the jury instructions. Hopefully they got a printout of it somewhere or something. But that's what's going on with that. Yes, 4 hours. 4 hours is how long their arguments are supposedly likely going to take. It's like the last day of summer camp. That is funny. It does feel like that. It does feel like that. Maybe that's why I brought that old song into my mind. Now, I never went to summer camp. I did go to the United Pentecostal Church Apostolic Youth Revival and camp meeting. Yes, I did. But never summer camp. That seems to be like it was for rich people and people that wear bikinis without a cover-up or whatever. But I did watch Bug Juice.
Oh, me too!
Basically, I might as well have gone to summer camp. I was
Same!
so obsessed with Bug Juice, and I remember them being real sad when it was ending, and I was sad too because now what am I going to watch? I could be watching Fairly Odd Parents or something or whatever.
I used to love that too.
Okay, so I'm just in my nostalgic, I don't know, mindset right now. Okay, so he says, United States versus Sean Combs, day 31. United States closing. After they said some theories of liability were no longer going to be pursued. Now, Inner City Press did put out a new book on week 6 of the trial. I think it came out yesterday. There's an ebook and an audiobook. 9:37 a.m. it begins. Good morning, the judge says. We emailed the charge, so the final jury instructions, to the parties. This is not in the docket, if anybody is wondering. No, it is not. But there are still some times that the word government is capitalized. We will change that, and we'll give an instruction about witnesses. There should be no disruptions during closings. Okay, so the judge is saying, all you little YouTubers, that's cute, that's nice, y'all like to get up and leave out in the middle of the court all day, you can't do that today. You're gonna distract people. So you gotta sit there and sit. We're not going in and out today. You gotta take a bathroom break, you need to wait for the bathroom break. No disruptions, that also means no objection. Now, technically speaking, if something really egregious happens, they can make an objection, but typically it is very bad form to make an objection during somebody else's opening and closing. It's very bad form, you usually would not do that. And in fact, we had the prosecutors, Maureen Coney, saying, Your Honor, I really would hate to object I would really hate to object during somebody else's closing, so can you make Diddy's side, please, would you let them know, please do not make any references to what the Department of Homeland Security needs to be worry about what's going on in Iran or whatever. Can you please tell them not to do that? Because if they do it, I'm gonna have to object, and I don't wanna have to object in the middle of somebody else's closing. And then Mark Agnipple is like, fine. Okay. The judge says, I will tell the jurors it's going to be a shorter day today and a longer day tomorrow. And then during deliberations, it will be up to them how long they stay. I don't know what that means. It'll be up to them. Okay, Ms. Slavic will be here at 10 to deliver the clothing. The closing. And then Diddy's lawyer's like, wait, there's some stuff in here we want out as well, Your Honor. So I guess the jury does get the paper, which makes sense, and I'm glad they do. Because it's long. It's like 100 pages or something. Okay. So Diddy's lawyer's like, there's some stuff that's in like, italics. It's where it's like, slanted font or whatever. We want it out. We want it to just be regular font. That's Diddy's lawyers. And the judge is like, okay, that's fine. And then they took a break at 10, at that point until 10, which it's 10:24 right now. They came back at 10:02. The judge says, while we wait, Ms. Coney, do we have the laptop ready? This is the laptop for the jurors of all of the evidence that was submitted to the jury. The Fed says, I'll defer to Teeny Garagos. Teeny said, we'll have it ready tomorrow. The judge said, yeah, have it ready tomorrow, and I want it with only the admitted exhibits. And I'm gonna ask tomorrow. So they don't have this laptop ready yet, but it's the admitted exhibits for the jury to see. Okay, y'all, and we're off to the races. It's going down. The jury came in. Okay, well, I would be remiss. I would simply be remiss not to do on one of my final moments for now to do so. Let me adjust. I'm just like moving all day long. Mostly I'm sitting on my feet. If y'all are wondering. Mostly I'm like cross-legged, I don't know, like Padmasana, whatever that is. I don't know the names of them. I don't know. I think it's maybe racist to call it like Indian style. Most of the time I'm sitting like some version of that. And crisscross applesauce is probably a less racist version. However, I will make an argument that modern day India is where like yoga originated. So maybe that's why it's called Indian style, because the lotus position. But I can't sit in that position anyway. I gotta move all over the place all day long. But most of the time I'm sitting on one foot and the other one's on the ground. But sometimes I'm like sitting like, both, and I gotta move all, because it hurts. It hurts to sit all day like this. Okay. So, all rise. Court is now in session. Honorable Judge Subliminal now presiding, and this is going to be the closing arguments of the prosecutors. Today is a very special and auspicious day. We are going to hear the entire case presented yet again after we've sat through, hours and hours, weeks even on end of reading through different, sometimes conflicting reports coming out of the courtroom. And thank God, Rabbit, she's put in so much work. She's been reading, and thank God, Miss Sylvia, infamous Sylvia, they've been reading the transcripts. And so, I didn't read all the transcripts. I did try to keep up with Rabbit's lives, her videos with the transcripts, but it's been something else. So here we are. We're here. It's finally happening. Court is now in session. The jurors entered, and the judge said, give your attention to the parties' closing arguments. Today will be shorter. I almost feel like he shouldn't have said it, because it's going to feel real long listening to somebody talking for 4 hours. But tomorrow, the defense, it's going to be Diddy's closing. This is the judge talking to the jury. Then we're also going to have the prosecutors rebuttal if they decide to do a rebuttal. And And then the judge said, and you will hear my instructions and begin deliberations tomorrow. So it seems the jurors who will stay. The jurors who will stay. I don't know what that means. I don't know how many stay. I don't know how many stay. Let me start. Actually, I'm going to write that question down because I'm going to ask one of my law school friends some of these final questions. Which jurors stay with respect to alternates, etc. Now, I don't know if he's talking about alternates, because like the alternates have been coming and stuff like, are they gonna have to come and listen to all the deliberations too? I don't know how it works. I do want to like ask somebody who does know how it works. But anyway, so today is just the United States' closings. Now, Diddy's team was originally instructed to go today, and I think they did have time to be able to do it. However, they did not want to go in the afternoon because they said that the jury was going to be tired. And I actually do agree. Imagine sitting there and listening to the whole prosecution and the whole entire, like it probably ended up being like close to 9 hours of just like their side, without any like time in between to process. I actually see where they're coming from on that one. If I'm defending myself, I'll probably want to start fresh and new after the jurors, had a fresh new, as well. But what's going to end up being one of the consequences of that is that tomorrow, the day is going to be a long day. The defense, the rebuttal, the judge's instructions to the jury, and then they're going to start deliberations. Okay, here we go. Closing arguments, just like that begin. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Now, who we have doing the closing arguments is Christy, I think her name is Slavic. She's the one doing the closing arguments. She says, over the last few weeks, you learned that Sean Combs is the leader of a criminal organization. That's the first sentence that we see on Inner City Press. And you know what? It's a good one. It's a great conclusion sentence. If you can get your whole case into a sentence, here it is. Sean Combs is the leader of a criminal organization. That is the crux. That's the point-blank conclusion. Is Sean P. Diddy Combs the leader of a criminal organization? Now, some people say no. But the government's argument is he is, and we proved it. He doesn't take no for an answer. He's into kidnapping, arson. Okay, so remember when people were saying they were taking out kidnapping and arson, they weren't going to be able to talk about it in the closing, and I told y'all that wasn't true, and everybody just needs to take a breath and relax. Take your beta blocker if you need to, the propanolol. Second sentence of the 4-hour closing says, third sentence, excuse me. He's into kidnapping, arson. Okay, so they didn't take it out. That was false. That was fake news like when I told y'all it was. He's into forced labor, bribery of a security officer, and the brutal crimes of S trafficking. Remember yesterday they were saying they took kidnapping and arson out of the charges? They dropped the charges. Woo! Okay. Consider 2 moments. Okay, so she's bringing you into the 2 moments to consider. Okay, 2 moments. Before y'all get tired, I'm about to give you the case. Here it is. In the last few weeks, you learned Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs is the leader of a criminal organization. He doesn't take no for an answer. He's into kidnapping, arson, forced labor, bribery of a security officer, and the brutal crimes of S trafficking. Consider 2 moments. March 2016. At the Intercontinental Hotel, the defendant, Diddy, got violent with Cassie. You saw what happened. He dragged her back to the freak-off. 2024, at Jane's house. The defendant choked and hit her. She ran, but she couldn't get away. These are chapters in the same book. That's the RICO. They're chapters in the same book. This is an isolated incident. This is the same cast and crew led by Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs. The defendant counted on silence and shame. He thought his fame and his wealth and his power put him above the law. Over the last 7 weeks, you've heard how he used his staff to promote his power. No one could stop him. We'll talk about RICO, including S trafficking, and we'll talk about transportation for prostitution, which are also separately charged as standalone crimes. Okay, so were those charges dropped? No, they weren't. They still alive and well. You may have heard of racketeers. When someone commits a crime as part of a group, they're more dangerous. A group of people whose purpose was to serve and protect the defendant. You know what? True. I mean, in my opinion, right? This is all arguments. These are all argumentative statements, meaning that they don't have to have been, they're supposed to have been shown using evidence. But they don't have to all be like neutral statements. Like these, she's allowed to make these arguments, and you'll see Diddy. Diddy's team tomorrow doing similar, but just kind of for the others from his perspective. Okay, so this is a really compelling sentence to me. Or it's a sentence fragment, but the grouping of words. What would that be called? A predicate? Is that what that is? Let's not get that confused with the RICO predicates, please. I'm talking subject predicate. Okay. A group of people whose purpose was to serve and protect the defendant. It's his kingdom. Everyone was there to serve him, fulfilling all of his desires, including his sexual desires. Now we, the prosecutors, we need to show at least 2 racketeering crimes. At least 2. Get your notebooks out. Racketeering crimes. We need to show you this. Diddy, the defendant, was the head of the Combs enterprise. There was an inner circle. His chief of staff, his bodyguards. Okay, that's the inner circle. The chief of staff and the bodyguards are who they are calling the inner circle. So I guess this takes TriStar and Robin Greenhill out of the inner circle. The names changed, but the roles remained the same. You've heard about KK, Diddy's right brain. She lived in 2 Star Island. She communicated with the girlfriends of Diddy. His security, you heard their names. D-Rock, Roger Bonds, Rube, Uncle Paulie, Fahim. They were armed and ready. Remember the incident at the diner with Suge Knight? David James told you Diddy had pew-pews. search, law enforcement found QQ, including a rifle with the serial number defaced in LA, 2 AR-15s with their serial numbers cut out in Diddy's closet. You also have the rotating cast of assistants paid by Diddy's business. Brendan Paul said he made $100,000 a year. KK made 6 times that. $600,000 a year. When your boss asks you to buy drugs, you are committing a crime. When you kidnap someone, dropping the kidnap charges. Okay, all right. We're listening to the closing statement right now, right? When you kidnap someone or lock his girlfriend in a hotel room after your boss stomped on her face, it's a crime. I'm telling you one more time for the stupid people in the back. When your boss asks you to buy drugs, you're committing a crime. The law does not require us to know that they liked committing these crimes. We don't have to know whether they wanted to commit the crime or liked it or not. They did it. They bought drugs for Diddy. Personal amount, personal time, or not. When your boss asks you to buy illegal substances and you buy them, then you are committing a crime. It doesn't require that those people liked it. They might not have liked it. They might not have wanted to, but they did it. You saw KK chiding Diddy to not be so reckless, but she got him cash, substances. She was a member of the enterprise. It impacted interstate commerce, and minimal is fine. They're getting out in front of a lot of the arguments that Diddy's team has been making and trying to keep certain things out of the jury instructions and stuff. Like Diddy's team has said that they didn't want, they wanted acquittal, right? They wanted the judge to say that they didn't even make a case against Diddy strong enough to go put it toward a jury. But they were saying, look, KK is telling him, be careful, you can't run away like that. You can't just go away without telling people. You can't this, that, you can't this, that. Yeah, you might have seen her doing that, but you also see her giving him cash and substances. She was a member of the enterprise, and it impacted interstate commerce. Even just a little bit, that's fine. Diddy knowingly became a member. He was the boss. Okay, this is one of the, they're going through the elements of RICO. So all of the elements are the things that are absolutely required. Not only required to have happened, but specifically required for the prosecution. They have a burden to prove each element. So the element here is, did Diddy knowingly become a member of the enterprise? Yeah, he knowingly became a member of the enterprise. He was the boss. And this is the prosecution's argument. He was the through line. He's the center of the hubcap. The racketeering acts, here y'all go. They're being listed. Distribution of substances, these are the 10. Kidnapping, still in there, didn't get dropped, did it? Arson, didn't get dropped, did it? Bribery, facilitating ST of Cassie. Facilitating forced labor, travel, commercial SEX, and a cover-up.
What the
These are
fuck?
the racketeering acts.
Are you kidding me?
These
Oh my god, it's literally coming right off.
Racketeering
What
acts.
happened?
to 9. And that makes sense because it was reported that it would be 10.
What
and then we
the
heard
fuck?
they were going to drop the witness tampering allegations. Or not allegations, excuse me, as a racketeering act. So what are they? One more time. The racketeering acts: distribution of substances, kidnapping, arson, bribery, facilitating ST of Cassie, facilitating ST of Jane, forced labor, that would be Mia, and travel for commercial sex. Lastly, cover-up. You only need to find that someone would commit 2 acts in furtherance of any of these categories. So if somebody's in the enterprise, they have to commit 2 acts in any of these categories, okay? Which categories? 2 acts of distribution of substances, 2 acts of kidnap, 2 acts of arson, 2 acts of bribery, 2 acts of facilitating ST against Cassie, 2 acts against Jane of facilitating ST trafficking. So anybody. So did KK do any of these 2? And it could be 2 of the same. 2 of bribery, or it could be arson and bribery, kidnapping and bribery, forced labor and bribery, travel for commercial SEX, any of this, right? You only need to find that someone would commit 2 acts in any of these categories. It could be 2 acts of the drug distribution, 1 kidnapping, just 2. You, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have far more than 2. Let's start with the drugs. This was an essential ingredient of the free-calls. The most involved were D-Rock, KK, and Fahim. Are they coming after them next? But others helped keep the substance supply high. We're not talking about 420 MJ. No, we're not. Plants growing on the ground. No. This is what Brendan Paul, you remember him, called hard substances. There are stipulations of these drugs found in the searches. That means Diddy's team, Diddy, I said, yeah, that's what that is. That's K. That's cocaine. That's Molly Ann. Cocaine. She said Smith. Schmeth.
He had meth on him too? What a surprise!
K horse tranquil.
I'm so surprised.
That's a dissociative drug. GHB, shiitakes, Molly Ann.
Did you guys see last night that I had an alcoholic beverage?
Remember that, everybody. Remember this dyed pink thing, all right? It's going to come back around in a major trial, and I don't have any inside information. I just feel it. That's 1305 and 1306. The jurors are probably taking notes.
I wish I could see the chat
quantities,
stuff.
ladies and gentlemen of the jury, quantities of these drugs, it's not relevant. It's not relevant. Were they purchased? Were they used? Did they cross state lines? Because there's no amount of Tuski you're actually allowed to have. It's a crime. Okay? Little baggie of it or a warehouse. You're not supposed to have it. It's a crime. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the quantities, personal amounts, personal this, personal just a little bit, irrelevant. Irrelevant under the law. It is not an element of this crime, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You may not consider the quantity, in fact. Your job, you have to, you have to apply the facts of this case to the law. The facts of the law. The law doesn't say jack about how much of the Tuski there was, how much pounds of MJ there was. Once you get a certain amount, she said, forget about the MJ. We ain't forget about it. I'm talking about cocaine, schmeth, oxy, horse tranquilizer, a dissociative drug, GHB, Molly and Tuski. The amount that he had is completely irrelevant. It's not an element of the statute. It's not even allowed to be considered under the law. Distribution doesn't require a sale. Now, y'all need to, anybody taking street law needs to write this down. They can get your line for distribution even if you don't change hands with any money, even if there's no demo record. This is not legal advice. And if you need something, you need to hire a lawyer. Because I'm not your lawyer. You cannot pay me like Sloan says. You're not your lawyer, but listen. The closing statement is saying that distribution of substances does not require that you sell it. You can just be passing it out. How much of it there is irrelevant. Quantities are not relevant. It is not an element of this crime. Distribution doesn't matter. Now, quantities might be relevant if they're trying to say that he was intending to distribute, but they're not saying intent to distribute. If you got a whole bunch of stuff and it's all packed out in little pre-measured baggies, that might show an intent to distribute. If you have a warehouse full, but you can never use it just as one person, that might show an intent to distribute, but he is not charged. And they're not claiming as a predicate act that he had the intent to distribute. In fact, they're just saying he just simply did. Distribution didn't just happen, and he orchestrated it to happen. Sale, not important. How much of it? Not important. Not allowed to consider. I learned most of this stuff at one point for a test or whatever one time, but most of this stuff is so, as you see, it's so nuanced and it's hard to learn together. I don't remember all this stuff. She goes on. Now, you know the names of the dealers by now. Guido, One Stop, Baby Girl. Jane told you that on 2 occasions, she was told to bring substances when she flew to meet him. She coordinated this with KK. It's corroborated by text messages. That's distribution, according to the prosecution's argument. KK told Jane to swing by Mapleton to pick up the Guido package. He was called during hotel nights. So we know what the Guido package was. It was EX. The security team knew what it was. Guido texted Fahim. He said, Pup, that's a $450 balance. He owes me. Pup better have my money. Hey, what you owe me? No, I forgot. $450 in my hand. Little hand. Brendan Paul
Tickles my brain.
$80 for, quote, personal Gucci items. That is hard drugs, ladies and gentlemen. They were distributed. It doesn't matter that he wasn't buying kilos. It doesn't matter that he wasn't selling them. Personal use is just a distraction. They bought and distributed narcotics to people around them. Yes, they did, according to the prosecutors and the testimony. Cassie used substances at every single recall supplied by the defendant. He introduced Jane to drugs. He gave them to her at all but one hotel night. He gave the drugs to Gary Morgan. He gave the substances to Vonna Von Golan. He made Brendan Paul try the juice to see if it was good. D-Rock would text One Stop. Need to see someone for bro. Yeah, that is the defendant. The security was texting a plug that he needed to see him for Diddy. The plug asked Fahim and security to cover the defendant's substance debt. KK pro tips on how to deal with it. Plain and simple. This is drug distribution, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Remember I told you yesterday that the kidnapping charges were dropped? I'm not sure how that could be, because let's listen to the next thing in the closing argument. How about kidnappings? They committed them under both California and New York law. Remember yesterday people were walking, swinging from the chandeliers, swinging from the rafters. They committed them under both California and New York law. Consider Cassie. Roger Bond made her stay put. Diddy called Cassie an SLUT. He stomped on her face. She was disfigured. Roger Bonds caught her and brought her back. Diddy made her go to the London Hotel on Sunset so no one would see her. That's the cover-up. She wanted to go home to her mother, but no. It is clear Cassie did not consent to staying in the London Hotel. David James testified that Diddy demanded to see his search history if he had posted that the defendant assaulted Cassie with blood. Then there's Capricorn Clark. They made her take a lie detector test for days in an empty office building in Manhattan.
Bro, yeah, that was fucked up.
She was holding expensive jewelry that went missing. Uncle Paulie took her to the future headquarters of Bad Boy. She was tested for 5 lies. The man administering the test told her if she failed, she was going to end up in the East River.
Bro, they said they were gonna
Yes, River.
She was
In
going to
Central
get
Park.
killed.
Mr. Combs told her if anything happened, he'd have to unalive her. David James remembers this. Remember he testified to it? He was tested too, to get the rat out of the team. In December 2011, Rube, another security guard, helped Diddy kidnap. Ruben. Yeah, that was the one. He's the worst one. They're all bad. Ruben helped the defendant kidnap Capricorn Clark. So remember when everybody was screaming and squawking and squealing yesterday, arguing like seals? That Capricorn Clark's testimony isn't going to be able to be in the closing, it's going to be able to be considered. Well, why is it being considered in the closing right now? It started on December 22nd, 2011. The defendant, Diddy, banged on Capricorn's door with a pew pew. He was out for revenge. He barked an order at her. Get dressed. We're going to unalive. Okay. They drove to Kid Cudi's house. Diddy had a pew pew in his lap. This was kidnapping, ladies and gentlemen. He moved her a substantial distance. Diddy said he wouldn't let her he wouldn't let her go back home until she brought him to Cassie, who he kicked when she arrived. So bring me to Cassie or you can't go home. He trades out hostages basically. And then